Hey everyone! Have you voted in elections before? If you have, take a moment to think back to when you were voting and try to remember, how did you decide who you were going to vote for? If you haven't voted before, think about, who would you vote for? Like, you're about to walk into the polling place, you're going to vote for the first time. How do you decide who you're going to vote for? So, do you have an answer? Now, we're going to look at how most people decide. Most people decide based on party cues. That means that they think about what party they're a member of, and think about what party each candidate is a member of, and vote accordingly. This is kind of like in Congress. Remember how in Congress we said that there are high information costs to passing legislation, right? You have to know a lot to be able to decide whether you agree or disagree with a bill. Well, party was one way that Congress members helped reduce those information costs. Because if party leadership said, vote for this bill, and they would look and they would go, okay, this is my party's leadership, they're telling me to vote for it, I should probably vote for it. Really reduces that information cost, because you know this is how my party wants me to vote. I'm a member of this party, so I probably agree with them, so I'm going to vote this way. And that's basically what parties do for us as voters. They tell us, this person is a member of this party, and since you're a member of this party, you probably are going to agree with what this person wants to do. Or at least maybe you'll disagree more with the other party's candidate. So party cues are a great way to decide how to vote. And in fact, they are a really reliable way to determine how other people are going to vote. If you wanted to know how someone was going to vote, you'd think you'd just ask them, right? Hey, who are you going to vote for in this election? But it is actually more reliable to ask them, what party are you a member of? Because it turns out that people almost always vote for their party's candidate, but sometimes they don't want to admit that's who they're going to vote for, right? Maybe it's someone who they're a little embarrassed to say they're going to vote for. Or maybe they just don't remember the candidate's name, right? Or maybe they don't really know anything about that particular election yet, and they're going to find out. And then they find out, and of course they end up using the party shortcut the majority of the time anyway. Now I say that it's the majority of the time, and people mostly use party cues, and it's the most reliable way to determine who someone's going to vote for. But it's not the only way, right? Sometimes people use other cues. They might look at how other elites are voting. And this is especially important in primary elections when there aren't party cues, right? Because primaries are held within a party. So if you're a Democrat, everyone in the Democratic primary will be a Democrat. If you're a Republican, everyone in your Republican primary will be a Republican. So you can't use party cues. But you can use the cues from other elites. So, say for example, 2020, you're going to vote in the Democratic primary for president. So this is to pick who the Democratic nominee for president is going to be. You might have been really happy with Obama as president. And if you were, you might look at which of the nominees Obama endorsed, and then vote for that candidate in the Democratic primary. Now, once the general election rolls around, when it's between Biden and Trump, we know that Obama obviously was going to endorse Biden in that because they were the same party and Trump is the other party. So you can see how elite cues matter a lot more when party isn't around. And these elites don't always have to be political elites. They might be a celebrity who you respect and who you feel has good opinions on politics. Now, another way people determine how to vote is based on a single issue. Single issue voters are pretty rare. Most people will vote on many issues. But let's say you care a lot about abortion. Maybe you are in favor of it, maybe you're against it. But you look at the candidates and you determine what they say on abortion, how they stand, and you vote based only on that. Environmental voting is another way that sometimes we see single-issue voters. Same with gun control. Whether you're for it or against it, you might be inclined to vote based on that issue alone. But for the most part, most people don't really vote on a single issue. So again, it can happen, but it's pretty rare. You might vote based on the candidate. Maybe you just really like the candidate. They're not from your party, but you really like them. Maybe your Congress member did a lot of casework for you. They helped you out with something that you had to do with the federal bureaucracy, their staff helped you out with your casework, and now you're like, you know what, they're not in my party, but they really helped me personally, I'm going to vote for them, right? That's candidate specific in that case. There's also something called economic voting. Sometimes people vote based on the economy. Is the economy doing well? Yes. So I'm going to vote for the incumbent party. That is the party that is currently in office because they're doing a good thing. The economy's good, I want to keep them in charge. If the economy's bad, I might say, I don't want to vote for the incumbent because they're doing something wrong. The economy is bad. I better vote for the other guy. And we also sometimes use what's called retrospective voting. We look back at a candidate's record. So in 2024, people who are voting for in that election for president, some people might look and say, okay, what has Biden done for the last 4 years? What has Biden done in the last year? What do I want to vote for him based on his track record? Did he keep his campaign promises? Did he do things I like? Did he do things I don't like? And they might vote for or against him based on their retrospective judgments. But again, because of party line voting, we often don't see that as much as we do party line voting, right? You might be retrospectively saying, I'm not sure Biden did a great job. But if you're a Democrat, you're probably still going to vote for him. Or you might say, wow, Biden actually did some great stuff, but I'm a Republican, so at the end of the day, I still think that the Republican could do better stuff, right? So all of these sort of are not standalone ways to vote. Most people don't go into the polling place and say, I'm a Democrat, I'm voting for the Democrats, or I'm a Republican, I'm voting for the Republicans, and nothing else. But there is a blending of these sort of in our own minds, but we can still simplify it and say there are these different things that inform how people are going to vote.